God, Steve, if they only knew what we have gone through, we put 34 minutes of absolute, utter gold for the world to hear, and nobody will ever hear it.
It was gold, Jerry. Gold, I tell you.
Gold! Nobody will ever hear that episode. And all I can tell you is, guys, y'all missed out. You missed out so bad, and we are awesome at what we're doing. And that's all I can tell you is that we're very good at podcasting. This is our second episode. We're already great at it. But this episode probably will not be as good. But I have a new respect for Kerry Murdoch and the Sooner Scoop guys because he does this on a regular basis on their Unofficial 40. So Kerry Murdoch, Eddie Radosevich, and you guys, if you are listening, you have my respect. I screwed up. Not Steve, me screwed up, and we recorded 34 minutes, and my phone rang, and it knocked me off. So here we are. We are going to try to duplicate the gold that we were just giving the world. So, man, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. This is, I think, round 4, round 5 of us getting this going, and let's hope it's better than round 4 and round 5 of the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight, because that wasn't very entertaining by round 4, round 5. So hopefully, and just kind of like that too. Lots of buffering. Maybe that was part of our issue too. Perhaps this goes into my theory that the state of Oklahoma is just cursed in the world of sports. And, maybe PJ Washington space jammed all of Oklahoma's sports powers and took them with him to defeat the Oklahoma City Thunder. We don't know, but we're here. We're back, and we're ready for episode 2. And we're ready to keep like Jeremy said, we were spitting gold all through those last podcasts. So we're here to once again bring you the facts and help you get through the Sooner experience just a little bit better. Jeremy, how are you, man? Beyond wanting to murder your all podcasting equipment.
Well, StreamYard, it has nothing to do with you. You guys have been great at us broadcasting this. It's my stupidity. I just went down to my wife and I said, I just recorded 34 minutes with me and Steve, and it was all for naught. And she said, you could put do not disturb on your phone. I love my wife. She is the best thing that I have in my life besides my kids. But she does state the obvious sometimes. And I realize that now. But that said, let's get into it. OU Alabama this week. What do you think we can do to get some Sooner magic? Everybody's like, do we got Sooner magic in us? I don't. I think we're about Sooner magicked out. I think we used it all in Auburn, but I don't know. What are some keys to maybe give us some success against Alabama?
I do think it's a little bit like, the end of Major League. Maybe we need to sacrifice a chicken. Maybe we get a bucket of KFC and bring it out there before the game if we're just looking for straight up magic. But if we're looking for legitimate ways to win the football game, I think we can't turn the ball over. We can't. We can't let Milroe just run all over us. We've got to make him a thrower. We've got to put ourselves in a position. You talked about Sooner Magic. We used at Auburn. Don't get me wrong. It was Sooner Magic, and that was great. But it was also, we had a game plan. We followed it, and we let our defense win the game for us. There in the end, we have a good defense. Is it elite? Is it a 9 out of 10? Is it an 8 out of 10? I would kind of put it as, I had this conversation with my nephew, Reed, the other day. I think our run defense is like a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Our pass defense is like a 6 out of 10, which probably puts us at about a 7.5, 8 out of 10 defensively. And we have to lean on that. We need to win special teams, and we need Alabama to just make some mistakes. And we need, one of my favorite sport expressions is regression to the mean. Are we this bad on offense? Probably. But maybe we're not. And maybe we're due a holy crap, the ball bounced off somebody's shoulder pad, went up, we ran under it, and we were trying to rush and jam it into Bauer Sharp again, and it bounced off of Bauer Sharp, and Brennan Thompson just happened to be running by, caught it, and outran everybody, scored a touchdown. That'd be cool. Maybe that'll happen. But what do you think, Jeremy? What do you think some keys to victory would be for the Sooners, or keys to at least relevance in the game?
Okay, so I'm going to start this out by saying that I had a prediction of 48-3 Alabama, so obviously my hopes aren't very high. But that said, I say that because I haven't seen anything offensively to say that we're going to do this good. And when you talk about the BV and like him getting my whole deal with the whole like offense situation, there is nothing you can look at and say this is getting good, so we can build on that for the future. There is nothing, unless you want to say, well, man, we got a lot of receivers that's been hurt all year that they might be something. But
we are better than
Maine. We have nobody to throw to him. We have nobody that can throw to him. And you say what you want about Jackson Arnold and like he doesn't have any time to throw. I agree. He's hearing footsteps. He doesn't have confidence in his offensive line. But, guys, he's missing wide open people. Like, we are not throwing the football down the field. I made a TikTok this week about the shock I would have if I saw Jackson Arnold throw the football down the field. Like, I just don't expect it. I expect screens and I expect running the football. But one thing I will tell you, I was glad to hear that Robinson is not going to redshirt, because I felt like I don't agree with a lot of things Zach Sanchez says on Twitter, because I think he's a nut. But that said, he did say, why is anybody talking about redshirt this day and age in college football? How many guys stick around for 5 years? A lot of truth in it.
And especially at running back.
And if you get him for 5 years, a lot of times you're transferring. So, like, get them as much as you can right now. And so I would love to see Xavier Robinson get 15, 20 carries. And if he does, just see what he can do. I mean, who's to say the guy doesn't go off? I saw him against Missouri. He got 2 carries, 18 yards. And I'm like, why in the hell has that guy not been on the field? One thing I will say, too, is I don't know if you saw on Twitter where Kewan Jones' son said, that's why you need to recruit more Oklahoma guys, because it means more to have that Oklahoma on your chest. And I agree. We can say all we want about John Blake, but Stoops won a national championship with Blake guys, and there were a lot of Oklahoma kids on that team. And I'm not saying that Venables doesn't go after Oklahoma kids. I think he's going after the right guys. But also, too, don't ignore those 3- and 2-star kids. Because those 3- and 2-star kids, I mean, we grew up with Teddy. And Teddy ran really, really fast. And that's why he went to OU. But that said, how many schools were pursuing Teddy Lehman? The guy was a 2-time Butkus Award winner.
Yeah.
So, like, throw the stars out. Just
and he gets an offer because he does great at a camp, right? Wasn't that kind of the story?
And that's what I'm saying is these Oklahoma kids, go after them, pursue them. But to get back on the OU Alabama deal, like, the only way that we have any Sooner magic is Milroe's got to make mistakes. He's got to throw a pick. He's got to fumble. We have to force turnovers. One thing I've seen in our defense this season is we are putting too much pressure on ourselves for our defense to score touchdowns. Our defense is trying to score touchdowns. You cannot play sound defense risking a pick, risking to try to force a fumble. Like, Venables' whole deal was like, we tackle in practice. Well, these guys are trying to force fumbles because they're saying to themselves, we have to score points or we don't win football games. That's how much confidence they have in their offense. They can say all the right things. They can say all this crap that, Well, we believe in our offense. Guys, the defense don't believe in that offense. They've watched them play this whole season. I mean, I am the most optimistic OU fan there is, and I am not optimistic. So I don't see it happening. I know the LSU game that we're looking at, they say we got a better chance on that. Hawkins has got to play. I think we got to go two quarterback system against Alabama and LSU and say, if Arnold is struggling, bring Hawkins in. The Thompson situation, guys, it ain't happening. So just throw that out the window. So I don't see it. I can't see us pulling off an upset. I mean, it is in Norman, and we have lost more games this season than I think Bob Stoops did in his whole tenure at OU. Seems like. But that said, it's just I can't pinpoint something where I can have any optimism going into this game. So,
well, I think the belief that we can have is, and this may be as short-sighted as believing, hopefully your kids are asleep, Jeremy, but this is maybe as short-sighted as believing in the tooth fairy. Maybe it's that simple, but I'm going to get in that stadium Saturday night and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to hear it's football time in Oklahoma and the band's going to play and I'm going to hear the bells and, and I'm going to believe when that ball is kicked off that we're going to win. And I'm going to look down the aisle at Aaron and Allie, and I'm going to tell them we're going to win. I'm going to look across the way to our friend Jarrett, and I'm going to give him a high five. And, he's going to believe that we're going to win. And, then I'm probably going to watch us pee down our stinking leg and then go driving back home on I-40 for 2.5 hours of squeezing the steering wheel, and you know how cheap and tight I am, not even stopping to get anything to drink on the way home. That's probably my future. But my belief is I want Brent Venables to work. I want this team to work. I want that all to work. But the thing that I just don't think is going to work is either one of our quarterbacks. And, I just feel like the Jackson Arnold experience, like I said last week, I was all in, guys. I was 5-star, pumped up. Here we go. See you, DG. Don't need you. You're not tall enough to be good. I mean, what's he ever going to do? Go to Oregon, wear some stinking highlighters. He ain't doing nothing for us. Boomer, stinking Sooner, baby, JFA. But, okay, Stephen Goss, idiot, right here. Get it, got it, good. Would love to see all that work, but if we're going to have Sooner magic, like I said, it's got to be in BV. It's got to be defense. It's got to be, I looked at before we got on here, the always fun OU injury report. The SEC injury report came out, and let me get out the old reading glasses here. And ours, once again, was 10 miles long. Alabama had 3 players, 3. All of them were just out. Really simple being a Bama fan with that. You had 3 players out. Now, 2 of them get on the field quite a bit. Cole Adams and who's their punt returner, who's a receiver. Saab, one of their DBs, is going to be out. All those things are positive. The good news for OU, Sawchuk wasn't on that. Guess he's going to be back. Farouk wasn't on that. Guess he's going to be back again. Tarquin wasn't on. Guess he's going to be back. Barnes was questionable. Burks was doubtful. Bates was questionable. I don't think he's going to play, even if he is. But, going back to Barnes and Sawchuk, and you mentioned Xavier Robinson, I do think, if you want to look for rose-colored, crimson-colored glasses, that I have seen some things since the departure of Seth, since the Joe John Finley administration. We have ran the ball. I do think it's a little better on straight running plays. But once again, I don't know who our running back's going to be. If you told me Xavier Robinson gets the most carries, I wouldn't be shocked. If you told me it was Sawchuk, I wouldn't be shocked. If Barnes is healthy, I think it's probably him. But I just don't know about our decision-making in that room either. And I wasn't the biggest Tawee Walker guy in the world. But, we chose Sam Franklin over Tawee Walker. Now, maybe some of that was Tawee was upset and it was going to be a culture killer if he was in the locker room. I'm not in there. I don't make those decisions. In the, Stephen doesn't want to get beat up weekly segment. DeMarco could rip my arms off and beat me with them. I understand that. And he's in practice every day. I'm not. But once again, what do we, and you talked about this, Jeremy, what do we have to hang our hat on offensively? What are we good at? What are we good at? Are we good at running power over the left side? Is that our thing? Are we good at zone insert? Are we good at, slants? Are we good at QB run game? I don't know. And the scary thing is we're coming off a bye week again. And last time we did, before we played Texas, that's when we came out with the, you know what we're going to do? We're going to have Mike Hawkins run as far as he can to the left and then do a surprise sprint draw back to the right. Yes, and our offensive linemen are going to all shift and block somebody different. And it's going to be freaking football calculus when we have a hard time doing football algebra 1. And it didn't work. So hopefully we just kept it simple and, it'll be better. I don't know, man. But
there's so many, I don't even know where you go from here. And that's what I said. This season has basically taken any optimism I had. I looked at the first year with Venables. How many games did we lose that were close? And I said, you know what? This is a lot like Stoops' first year. You guys remember in '99 when he lost all those close games. And I'm just talking myself up. This year, I'm just I felt like Dennis Quaid on Major League 2. Then, turn this place into a parking lot.
Back it
and
up.
So I don't see anything that I can be optimistic about. And which goes to our next segment, which is the thing that OU fans are talking about. Everybody has their opinion. OC search. What is the person that we're going to bring in that's going to change our attitude? You guys remember when we brought Riley in? We're like, who the hell is this East Carolina guy? Why would Stoops bring him in? We let go of Heupel and brought this guy in. He's done nothing. And now he's one of the best offensive minds in football, who will probably no longer be a head coach and be an OC in the NFL and make millions and be drinking Mai Tais on the beach sometime. But that said, I'm going to go through what I believe is our OC hierarchy. And this is a fan's opinion. I have nothing that would steer me this way. This is what this podcast is. These are two fans. But my first option, I think, in their eyes, is Dan Mullins. Second is I was telling guys now, Craddock.
Craddock.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And sorry, I was really good our first time we recorded that. The third one is Arbuckle. And I know everybody thinks Arbuckle's coming here. He's already signed the papers and he's here. He's in Norman looking for real estate. And it's just be careful, because all I can tell you is I think the Mullins situation is I'm not saying he's accepting anything, but I'm saying he's considering it more than people I think. Because I just don't think his name would just keep coming up if he had just said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm happy where I'm at. I want to be a head coach. Now, the North Carolina position has a lot to do with it. I think he is waiting out Mac Brown to see what he's doing. Is Mac Brown's going to retire? Is he going to stick around or what? But I'm not saying he don't want to be a head coach, but the opinion that, okay, well, he wants to be a head coach, he don't want to be an OC. I think he's considering a lot more than what people think. What's your thoughts?
I agree with what you're saying there, Jeremy. I do think with Dan Mullen, obviously this is a guy who's been a successful head coach. He wants to be a head coach. This is the guy who's wanting to get back into coaching. And you can look at this two ways. You can look at it one and say, well, if it was him, why didn't he already take the job? He's working at ESPN, ABC. Why wouldn't he already take it? Or you could say, okay, this is a guy who, if he wasn't going to take it, he's got easy outlets to hop on Sirius XM any day and say, you know what, I'm not going to go be the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. And we know that everything a coach says is obviously true because Lincoln Riley was not the next head coach at LSU. So we know everything that's out there is always completely true. My thoughts on the OC, Jeremy, are I think if this was year one with BV, I think he hires Craddock. I think his system fits what we need. It's a little more pro style. I read somewhere they run, I think 67% of the time. And I think that would really fit with what BV does defensively, grit, grind, toughness. I think that would fit us great. I think Mensa is a really high upside quarterback, and you could try to bring him with you, bring him. Craddock brings Mensa with him. But I think we're in a situation where BV is protecting his job, number one, and looking at what makes the most sense for next year in our current situation. I think it's Arbuckle. And newsflash, Jeremy, hashtag we're old. You know what year Arbuckle was born? And you do, because I said this in the last time we did the pod, but it's 1995. Okay, 1995. So long time ago, back in the golden age of our sportsdom. But that's a long time ago. And that he was born, not when we were there. So, guys, this guy is less than 30 years old. It's the whole Wonderkin thing. Not to use a Ted Lasso joke there for those who know where I was going with there. Make him Nate the Great. But I don't think he's going to backstab BV at some point or spontaneously grow gray hair. But what I like about Arbuckle, when I kind of went under the hood a little bit here, is he's been an OC, he's been a play caller 3 years, but he's had 3 different quarterbacks. A lot of times you look at this, looking at a guy who, okay, this is a hot up and comer, and it's been with one quarterback. When he was at Western Carolina, that quarterback was Bailey Zappi, who played a cup of coffee in the NFL with the New England Patriots. Then his first year at Washington State was with Cam Ward, had a really good offense. Cam Ward's now at Miami, and this year it's with John Mateer. Now, I looked a little bit at John Mateer. Here's the truth. Washington State's schedule sucks. They're in the Pac-2. It's not a great representation of – they played New Mexico last week. I wish we played New Mexico this week, and then we would probably be bowl eligible. No slack at any Lobo fans out there.
Don't ever say, like, we went down 7-0 against Maine. So
hey, we did. That was the low point for those keeping score. But what you said last week, we can still go lower. But that being said, I do think that, and I think it's Arbuckle, who I do think you can probably get a little cheaper than Craddock. I think Craddock, Florida State's going to be on Craddock a lot too, and I think they're gonna spend some money there. I do think Arbuckle probably kind of fits the best for us in that situation, and we spent some of the extra money on quarterbacks and offensive line. I do think we got to bring in a portal quarterback. We talked about that last week. There's names out there beyond just the normal, the OC comes with that. I mean, and a lot of times that doesn't hold true. I'm sure there were Mississippi State fans who last year when they hired Jeff Lebby to be their head coach just assumed because Jackson Arnold was his guy that he was going to go to Mississippi State with him. And that didn't happen. So there's no guarantee if we hire Ben Arbuckle that John Mateer is coming with him, or if we hire Craddock that Mensa is coming with him either. So looking at a little bit on who's out there in the quarterback portal world, some of the names that I saw online, it would be Nussmeier at LSU because they've got Bryce Underwood coming in next year and big time quarterback. Carson Beck, don't really think he's going to be in the portal. That's a name that's out there. Connor Wegman at A&M because they went with the athletic quarterback there. A couple of names that are more interesting to me is Thomas Castellanos, who's already in the portal at BC. And I think that would be someone to look at if we hired Craddock. BC runs more of a pro-style offense. And if Craddock didn't bring Mensa, let's say that Tulane's head coach stays, we do hire Craddock, and they don't bring Mensa, I think Castellanos is the person who would fit that system pretty well. But the name that makes the most sense to me.
And also, too, before you go any further, Mensa and Craddock have only been together like a year. People make it sound like Mensa and Craddock have been together like for 4 years, and like he would go wherever he's at. It's not automatic. So
they're both going to make decisions that are best for them, and that's the world we live in college football now. Everybody's on a 1-year contract. Everybody's going to look for the situation that's the best for them. And the name that I want to throw out there that I haven't really heard thrown out there a lot is I would like to see us go get Noah Fafita from Arizona. We saw him in that bowl game last year. Arizona's had a little bit of a disappointing season offensively, but I do think he's someone. I do think we need to find someone like what Dylan Gabriel was, who's a gatekeeper, but who can score some points and is mature. We don't want to. If I'm Brent Venables and I'm risking my dream job, which is what this is for Brent Venables, if I'm risking my dream job, I don't want it in the hands of an 18 or 19-year-old. I want to know somebody who's older. I want to know someone who's went through some of the wars, who has seen knows a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two. And that's my guy. If Stephen Goss was Brent Venables or Joe C., that's what I would try to do. I would try to go hire Ben Arbuckle, bring in Noah Fafita, and then tamper the heck out of some offensive linemen somewhere so we can just be a heck of a lot better. And I say that to kind of transition a little bit to talking offensive linemen. I think if you hire Arbuckle, you keep Beadenbow. I think if you hire Craddock, I think he wants to bring his own offensive lineman guy there. Maybe we want to transition that and talk a little bit about Fasusi and maybe that situation.
Yeah. The Fasusi thing, I don't know. I think that there is a lot of he's a kid and he's going to take his trips. If I'm a kid and I got Texas and Texas A&M going after me, I'd probably go to that game. That's going to be one of the biggest games in college football. It's the rivalry's back. It has more than likely SEC championship game implications. I don't know. I don't know if they're high school kids, and so when you look at that situation and you say, well, BV said that if you're not, if you're making visits, you're not committed. He's not saying that he took his commitment out. What he's saying is he assumes that he's not committed. Guys, he's still recruiting the damn kid. So don't make it sound like
exactly.
He's not like he said, he's going to Texas and he's going to Texas and Texas A&M. Screw it, he's done. Okay, let's move on. No, he's still going after him. What he's saying is he assumes that his commitment's still open. That's Dabo. That is the Dabo mentality. Guys, it works. I don't like Dabo Swinney. I'm sorry, I don't. He won too much, so I don't like winners. Okay, especially when they're against my school. So I feel like we're looking at it too much as like, oh, he's gone. Well, hell, he might have called Venables and said, I'm going to take these visits because they're free visits for me. They're free trips. And tell you what, if you tell my daughter, who's about to be a freshman in high school, she's a softball player, she pitches, and we're about to go through their whole recruiting stuff, like they can start talking to him as freshmen. You tell my daughter, you can commit to Oklahoma, but you got a trip to Stanford. You have a trip to Washington. I'm going to tell her, take those trips.
Yeah.
Have that experience, because you only get recruited once. I know that you got the portal a day and age and all this crap, but you only get recruited once. You only get that opportunity one time. So take it. Who cares? He's not gone yet. And I think people are just like, oh, Venables is done with him. So I guess we got to look for other offensive line. No. He's taking these trips, I think, because he can take those trips. And this is maybe wearing crimson colored glasses. I look at it as saying, or remembered him saying, I'm Sooner for life. So I just don't think you flip that quick. If he said that last summer, I'd be like, okay, yeah, they might have been in his ear. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. It's a lot of crimson colored glasses in it. So
yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat as you there, Jeremy. If you give 17, 18-year-old Steve and Jeremy the opportunity to go to those college campuses, we're going. Okay. We're Sooner born, Sooner bred. When we die, we're going to be Sooner dead. But they offered us a free trip to that game. Heck yeah, I'd go. It's just, I mean, that's just one of those things. And, they talk a lot about people who are true insiders, follow the follows. And also, I do think I think Brent is a very honest guy, probably too honest to some degree. But I have learned listening to more of Brent's press conferences this year than I have in the past. You have to really pay attention to what Brent says. And Brent really talked a lot about, at this week's press conference, talked a lot about Bill Bedenbaugh. He really didn't want to talk about his rule and, that sort of thing. I don't sense panic on the staff's faces now, was there bedwetting all over Sooner Nation? You absolutely bet. Was our group chat, oh my God, back it up, turn this place into a parking lot. We're screwed. We'll never win another game. We're in Nebraska, blah, 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 blah. All that. Yes, it is. I get that. But guys, we are not a very good football team. We're not. And this is, BV's third year. We have been not a very good football team in two of them. And every recruiting class BV has put together has been in the top 12, top 15.
Yep.
BV is a great recruiter. He is. And there's a reason we're not a good football team and we still have a great recruiting class. It's Brent Venables. Mm-hmm. And the way he does it is what it is. I mean, with Lincoln Riley, we didn't know what we were going to get. We would get, hey, we got this guy up. Nope. We didn't have him. And so just like what Jeremy said, do I think Vasusi's going to take those trips? Yeah, I do. Now, will I be pumped because where my seats are, a lot of times I can see where the visitors are, and I'll put it out on the group chat with us of, hey, I see this kid here, or that kid here, or that sort of thing. And I'm not going to tell you I'm one of those people who know what Michael Vasusi really looks like, but I'm going to be around the stadium. And would it be awesome to be like, look, there it is. I saw on Twitter, he's here. Would that be awesome? And would I feel a lot better? Yeah, I'd feel a lot better. But this isn't the year to feel better. This is the year of cursed life. Okay? This is the year of, it's the year of not good for Oklahoma football. So I don't anticipate it to be easy. If it was easy, then it wouldn't be us this year. That's not where it is. We couldn't get a third down against freaking Temple. And so why would I expect us for that to be easy? But all that to say, am I worried about the Vasusi thing? A little bit. But at the same time, I'm one of those guys, I'm probably was lower on Bill Bedenbaugh when everybody else was high on him. And I'm probably higher on Bill Bedenbaugh right now when everybody else is a little bit lower on him. But Bill's put a lot of guys in the NFL. Bill's well respected in the community. Do I think Bill mucked up a couple of recruiting classes ago and we're paying for it? 100%. Do I think OU was late on the NIL game? Yes, I do. And I think we're paying for it. Do I think we guessed wrong on some things? Yeah. Do I think we need to figure out some of our talent evaluation? Yeah. But do I think that the best offensive line we can put out there next year is coached by Bill Bedenbaugh? Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I agree. And when you talk about cursed, I want to bring this up just because I think it puts in perspective what football is. Let's prayers out to Julie Venables, Brent's wife, and you want to know what kind of person that guy is, and you want to know why recruits want to come play for him, and the parents have a lot of say on there. And you put Brent Venables in a household, the guy is true to his word. I mean, he is probably loyal to fault sometimes, but that said, it puts in perspective, that guy has been going through this with his wife since May. Cancer came back in May, and I can tell you, if my wife, who is the love of my life, who is my best friend, if I'm doing a job and something like that comes and she's fighting that, it's hard for me to concentrate on what I'm doing. And so, that guy gets a pass. I got a heart, guys. I'm sorry. I have a heart, and I love Brent Venables. And like when I listen to him keeping that inside since May, nobody's known about that. And you know why he didn't say anything? Because he didn't want people to throw pity on him.
Yeah.
He didn't want to say, well, that's fine, and then he have to answer the question. And also, too, that's his strong ass wife, too, saying that too. Like, don't bring this up because I don't want to pity. And so it just puts the sport in perspective and know, like, everybody's got issues that they're dealing with in their life. And some people let it out in the open, some people don't, and they deal with it as a family. That's why people love Brent Venables right there.
And,
he does that.
No, and going back to the curse thing, I'm sure most everybody listening here listened to Gabe and Teddy earlier this week, and and hearing Gabe's situation, and our hearts out to the Eichert family as well. There's things bigger than football. There's things bigger than the craptacular offense that we put out there. But that's why we're doing this. Is we all have our own little things, that our own mountains that we have to climb, and we're here to add a little levity to the side, and hopefully give you a little bit of fun and perspective as we try to navigate this season as Sooner fans. But again, from Jeremy and I, and all of Sooner Nation, our hearts out to those two families, because there's a lot going on right there.
For sure. And to piggyback off of the Gabe deal, like our buddy said, it's tough to listen to, and from a guy who his wife had a miscarriage, their first kid. Now, it wasn't that far along, but when he was saying that, I'll be honest with you, like, I was a very, very emotional person, because I put myself back in those spot, and it is a tough situation to deal with. And Gabe's got all my respect, because I think sometimes you need to escape from all that, and you get tired of people saying, well, at least you can have kids. That's what I used to always get. And I'm like, I know, but I want that one. I don't care about other ones. I want that one. So it is a tough situation, and we don't want to bring it down on this podcast. But that said, it's like there's a lot of outside stuff that I think a lot of these families, especially in the football world, deal with situations. I think it just shows what type of people they are. They don't bring it out in the open because they don't want to talk about it a lot, but also too, they want to deal with it as a family, and you got to respect that. So, so my next segment is kind of transit. Like, hey, let's bring it all the way down, and I'm going to bring it halfway up, because now we're going to talk about quarterback problems. So I'm going to start off by, I told the gentleman who commented on one of my TikToks from last episode, he didn't like how we talked about Jackson Arnold. He said he thought it was more of an O-line issue than it was Jackson Arnold. And I said, I agree with you the first part of the year. The second half, I do not, because I feel like Jackson has had a lot of open guys and a lot of open receivers downfield. He is not seeing the field good. He is seeing ghosts, as you've said before. He's seen ghosts, and he's not a confident quarterback. He's a quarterback czar. Well, I say Hawkins. We haven't seen Hawkins enough, I think, to clarify that. But I want to see Alabama and LSU. I want to see a two-quarterback system. I want to see, if Jackson struggles, you bring in Hawkins. I think Hawkins is a guy if you want to beat LSU, because LSU doesn't cover running quarterbacks. But that said, we're talking about Alabama. And if Arnold struggles, you got to pull the trigger, because Hawkins has not got that second chance. He lost a game with us against South Carolina, and we were talking. I got to remember what we talked about before, the one we deleted. But you look at it. Arnold's lost us the Tennessee game, and he's lost us the Missouri game, and then you want to look at Hawkins. He's lost us the South Carolina game. Guys, that's 3 games, 3 football games. How different would our season look? And I know I'm an OU fan, and we're both OU fans, and we're looking for a bright spot. Say, well, our quarterback's lost those 3 games for us. What did South Carolina do in the second half? Nothing. Yeah. So I
Well,
mean, you can't sit there and tell me that. So what? I mean, what do you think? Like, what do we do quarterback? That's a long question to
sure.
that. So
Well, I'll answer that in a couple of different ways. One, to the follower on TikTok who says it's not all Jackson Arnold. He's right. It's not all Jackson Arnold. It's a
no.
culmination of things.
Mhm.
It's bad offensive line play. It's questionable play calling. It's receivers' inability to make true separation. It's ask people to do things they're probably not capable of. But that's a long-winded answer. That sounds like a politician just not really answering the question.
Mhm.
Um, what we need to do, I think, if we go back to the cinematic masterpiece that was the Water Boy, if when we look and they're playing in the Bourbon Bowl, and the opposing coach just goes with the "Hey, I'm offense now," and just takes a knee, doesn't let the Water Boy go hit anybody. If we just would have came out against South Carolina, punted it, first down, just punt the crap out of it. Slidell Zinga get drop him back there, punt the crap out of it. We might win that football game. So maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe we just need to punt and only play offense if we get plus 50 field position and just see how that works. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we need to go back to I thought it was one of the world's stupidest game plans of all time. We weren't doing a pod back then, but Stephen Goss, long time, there I am. Long-time questioner of Levy, wasn't a fan of the neck beard, wasn't a fan of a lot of the stuff. Thought that our game plan against Texas, and we decided to roll out the Bevel experience, was one of the stupidest things of all time. Our infatuation with tight ends, even back then, hey, let's just snap it to our tight end. That'll do. But if you think back, if we just did that, and by God, who would have thought? And somewhere Joe John Finley stumbled across, and he's like, "You mean I could play Bauer at quarterback? I haven't thought about that. Yes, let's just do that. Let's just give it to Bauer straight away.
We don't even have to
the
throw
man,
him the
just
ball.
run it up the gut."
Yeah, just run the ball.
But that all being said, that's a roundabout answer to say, I don't think either one of our quarterbacks are going to be here next year, Jeremy. And I don't think either one of our quarterbacks are in a position, I won't say good enough, because I've seen Michael Hawkins go on the road and win an SEC game against an Auburn team. That's average. I mean, they're not great. But is LSU better than Auburn? Yes. But is it light years difference? No, it's not. It's within a degree of separation. I've seen Jackson Arnold. I mean, now this is a much more of a stretch, but is Alabama better than Tulane? Yes. But I saw Jackson Arnold make some plays with his legs and win a game against a pretty decent team in Tulane. It's possible. It's also possible that I get a phone call from someone that we're watching this on YouTube, and it's like, you know what? That guy right there needs to be the new face of Calvin Klein's new underwear model. And that's possible. It is. I don't think it's probable, but it's possible. Maybe that'll happen. Who knows? Maybe they will. But I don't see it happening. And what's our answer at quarterback? Our answer is straight cash, homie. We need to get the bag, do some tampering, and bring in a freaking DUDE dude next year is what we need. We need, Smaker, Hayfield. I don't know what we can do, who we can tamper with. I mean, it's a weird year in college football. I mean, the best quarterback in college football is the guy that we were happy to get rid of. So we don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so that's probably the long answer to what we're trying to. I mean, we know we don't have one. We need to be successful right now. I think, but neither quarterback has any confidence. Hawkins is young. I don't think Hawkins expected to play this season, and he kind of got thrown in there. And that was kind of my mindset, is we gave up on him. So give him another opportunity. I just want us to do 2 quarterback system. Guys, Casey Thompson ain't. They're not bringing Casey Thompson in, so just quit asking me questions about Casey Thompson and why are we not giving him a chance. Is he not the guy? He should get the opportunity. No, he's not. I'm sorry. He's not the option. So just move on. And
I mean, Casey's the PWO. He's not even here on scholarship. He's got knees as bad as Mike Tyson. I mean, it's just not that. That's not the answer. It's not. And you can talk about the old adage: if you got two quarterbacks, you got none. Well, right now we've got none, guys. I mean, that's where we're at. And I've heard some talk of well, Spurrier played, three quarterbacks back when he was at Florida from time to time. And talking about three NFL guys. I don't think we've got two NFL guys there. It'd be great if we do. Wish Jackson and Michael all the luck in the world. But if, okay, Jeremy, I'll just ask you straight up. If tomorrow BV calls and goes, hey, heard your podcast, guys. You're doing great. That's kind of why Bob Stoopson did BV because it's late. But anyway, BV calls and says, "Okay, Jeremy, who do I play at quarterback? What do I do? What do you do?" I know what I would do, but I want to know what you want to do.
I would say you start Jackson Arnold. If he struggles a little bit, you bring in Hawkins and you see what you got, and you take the hot hand. Yeah. So if Arnold wants to throw picks and he wants to make stupid fumbles like he did against Missouri and cost you the game, I'm not bitter about it, but then you bring in Hawkins. If Hawkins wants to do the same thing, guys, you cannot tell me against South Carolina they didn't tell Hawkins, you got to take some chances. Because you don't go from what he was doing as a quarterback to making those passes against South Carolina. Guys, he's a true freshman. He's a true freshman. He can make true freshman mistakes. And I'm not saying he's the answer. I think the answer is at another school right now. So it is what it is. We just want to salvage enough to get one more win. That's really all we need. One more win. So we've been negative. We've talked about all the negativity we've dealt with. We're getting to a little bit of positive now. Me and Steve are basketball people. We know basketball, but also too, OU basketball, we know not to get too optimistic about them because they will break your heart, these Moser teams. So OU's 3-0. They've looked good. I don't want to say they look good, but they've looked good enough to win and be successful. Jalen Moore looks good. Sears looks good. They've got some young guys that are college basketball is now the point where you get new players every year. So us being able to keep Moore is big. To me, he's playing like an all SEC guy. Warrant is 3 games, but somebody was comparing him to Buddy Hield. He is not Buddy Hield. So get that out. But also, too, I will also mention, as we want to talk about the men's, I got to talk about the women's, because the women's team is not only a good team, I think they are a national title contender. I think Jenny Brossett, I always have problems. Broshnik, is that how you say it?
Well, it's called Jenny B. It's good.
She's very easy on the ice. So, she went and got the players she needs. She's got a damn good basketball team. And our women's sports are not the problem at OU. It's the men. So I don't know. What do you think? I think the basketball team looks good, but it is early.
I think, I mean, it's super early. We've beaten the famed Lindenwood, Northwestern State, and Stetson. So to use an old Bob Stoopsism, it's like Seven Sisters of the Poor, is kind of who we have beaten. Both Lindenwood is the winner of that bunch, the 2-3 record. We play East Texas A&M on Thursday, so should run that record to 4-0. Then they head off to the Battle for Atlantis, which is really tough. Open with Providence, should win that game. Providence is 2-2. Then they're either going to get Davidson or Arizona. And then the third round, you're either going to play Gonzaga, Indiana, Louisville, or West Virginia. So we're going to know where they're at after that Battle for Atlantis. If anyone would love to send Jeremy and I and our families to the Battle for Atlantis, you can reach out, and we will make that sacrifice and go to paradise.
If you need to know what our Venmo or PayPal is, we can absolutely send that to you.
Yeah, if anyone wants to do that, we will gladly live podcast after every game.
I can definitely do that.
Yeah, but that sacrifice aside, Jeremy made a great point. Getting Jalen Moore to come back was huge for Porter Moser. I think of Porter Moser a lot that I do about Brent Venables. I think he does the right things. I think he tries to do it the right way. I wish we had Porter Moser. You know, one thing you're going to learn, guys, Jeremy and I are going to quote Major League a lot. We're going to quote, wish we'd have had him, 5 years ago. We did. Well, 10 years ago then. I do think Porter Moser is a really good basketball coach. But I do think what he is trying to sell sometimes isn't going to be for some of this modern basketball players. One thing that I have seen in these early games, I think we're more athletic. I think that's really important. I really like Jeremiah Fears, the freshman that we got to reclassify. Thought that was a really, really big thing. My only pro tip is Porter, start the man right now. Start him. Get him off the bench. I know he's playing a lot of minutes. Start the man. If we're going to go to the NCAA tournament, it's going to be on the back of Jalen Moore and Jeremiah Fears. Kobe Elvis, A+ name, but I don't think Kobe Elvis can be the lead guard that takes us to an NCAA tournament. Player I haven't got to see at all is Jaden Jones, who's a transfer from Long Beach State. He's been hurt with the back. Bryson Goodine, I saw the very first game. I think that maybe was a Lindenwood game. Was watching that on ESPN Plus. Really like the way he shot it. Think he's a shooter. He's been out the last couple of games with the ankle. Hopefully we're at full strength when we go to Atlantis. I would think if anything would motivate, like, hey, we're going to Paradise, guys. Want to play basketball? Sweet. Yeah, my ankle and back feel a heck of a lot better. Women's basketball, I'm with Jeremy. I do think that's a legit Final Four contender. And having a big regular season there is so big because of the home court advantage you get in women's NCAA basketball. Reagan Beers is just an absolute dudette, I guess you would say. I'm not sure if that's politically correct. If not, please don't cancel me for saying dudette. But
and we hadn't had that since the Paris win. So
yeah, no, and honestly, that's kind of the player that she is. Like, listen to this, Jeremy: 21.3 points, 12 rebounds, 75% field goal shooting. And that's pretty good. I know that's mostly at the rim, but that's still really good. They dropped 122 points last week. Again, I mean, it was against Western Carolina, but that's probably more points than our football team has scored all year. Yeah. And so to drop 122, they shot 57% from three that game. One thing, if you haven't got a chance to watch our women's basketball team, she plays a lot of girls. We have 11 girls averaging at least 9 minutes a game. They play fast. They score a lot of points. One thing that this fan base has shown is it does support women's sports. Back in the heyday of the Paris Twins and the Sherry Cole heyday, there were times, this is even with good men's teams, that our women's teams were outselling, having more attendance than our men's team was. So pretty much all good news there all around. The only, I guess, negative news in the women's sports world is number one recruit in the state of Oklahoma. Women's recruit was actually a player at Norman. I think her name is Keely Parks, I believe is what her name is. Number 21 in the nation. She actually committed to Kansas. And I know some people were bedwetting about that, of how can we not get a kid at Norman High? Okay. How many people really want to go to college in their hometown?
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that there's more to that than whatever, but Lawrence is a pretty cool place to play basketball. And I know women's basketball and men's basketball are two different sports, but Bog Island Fieldhouse is a great venue. It's a great place. It's a hoops first place. And once again, if you probably look at it, I bet Kansas threw a bag at her. And, same reason. And Jeremy's more of the softball guy, than I am. But I think, everyone just assumed we were going to get the pitcher from Stanford, but we weren't expecting the bag that Texas Tech threw at her in the portal. And so I'm sure there's some of that kind of stuff here as well, but have lots of faith in our women's sports and certainly looking forward to good things from Porter and the men as well.
Absolutely. And before we get off here, keep an eye on Forsyth for the men's. Like, kid's a shooter. He's a true freshman, so I feel like he is, once he starts getting some confidence, got a pretty shot. you watch him shoot the basketball. I mean, the kid's a winner, and I think that's what Porter needs. This guy needs guys that are just freaking winners. You look at what's his name for the Lakers, that rookie put in 37 last night.
Connect. Mm-hmm.
Connect. I mean, hell.
You know what translates, Jeremy? Shooting the basketball.
Yeah.
Putting the ball through the basket solves a whole lot of problems. If you watch the Thunder, who absolutely have sucked the last couple of games, and right now they're in a battle with Portland, the key to the Thunder playing bad is the other team's best players not being there, as they lost to a Luka-less Mavericks team and lost to a Wemby-less Spurs teams. But right now, Thunder are not shooting the three at all. Caruso has decided he's going to be Andre Roberson and not be able to shoot absolutely ever. And shooting solves a lot of what cures. Like I said, as a former basketball coach, and talk to my coaches all the time about different things. And they're like, hey, hey, Steve, hey, Mr. Goss, what can we do zone offense wise? People are zoning us. We're not shooting it very well. Make threes, make shots. Well, thanks a lot. Yeah. Hey, put in the basket helps. And it does. And, I do think Porter has added the two things he needs to add: more shooting, more athleticism, and that's really going to help, because we have made, during the Porter Moser experience, we have made scoring the basketball, well, kind of like what our offense has been of scoring touchdowns this year. We've made it look like curing cancer, advanced calculus, understanding our friend Nathan when he mumbles, all things that are absolutely impossible. That's how we have made that look. And so Godspeed, Porter. Let's hope this team continues to head in the right direction.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you for being this one went longer than our first one, or second one.
It did.
Or third one. I don't even know.
Fifth one.
Fifth one. But guys, keep listening. Let us know what you think. We're having a lot of fun. Like, these are literally conversations me and him have. So it's just, we can put it on the podcast world, and hopefully people are enjoying it. We've got great feedback. Also, check on my YouTube. I'm putting the videos out. We have faces built for podcasts. But if you want to see what we look like, you can get on my YouTube channel, JDown13, the same as what my TikTok is. Check it out. I checked my YouTube the other day, and I was like, man, I'm getting more views from our podcast videos than I am anything else. So, hey, I guess
you're welcome.
Thank you, Steve. Because apparently me alone wasn't doing it, but you guys keep commenting and let us know what you think. Ask questions. We'll get to them the next podcast. Hopefully, we're talking about a Sooner Magic.
I'm going to go out there, Jeremy. I'm going to say it. I know your score was 48-3. I have stupidly decided I'm going to put out the podcast, something I do in another group text that I do with my brother-in-law and my nephew, is we'll predict scores every time. I have not predicted OU to lose all season, so I won't predict it again this week. I'm going to throw this out here as we finish up. Sooners win 24-17. Boomer.
All right, guys. Well, until next week, thank you guys for listening to Sooner Cast with JDown and Goss. Until next week, Boomer Sooner.
Boomer.